Good evening. Welcome to Inside Asia. Exiled media play a very important role in providing information and developments in closed society. Tonight, we are very fortunate to have a representative from exiled media from our neighboring country, Burma. The person next to me is Ong Saw, the editor of Irrawaddy magazine. The next person is Khun Sai Chayen from Chan Herald's new agency. And another representative is from Democratic Voice of Burma, Kim Mong Seo. Thank you for joining the program.
Thank you.
As you have been working in the exiled media community, how do you see your role in providing information that the media inside Burma normally will not get or be informed?
Well, I think our role is very vital. We've been running the exiled media groups outside of Burma, based in Thailand for the last 20 years. As you know, the Burma is being closed country for many years. And then as we are journalists, unable to work from our own country, from Thailand, we were able to provide information to two areas. One is to the international audience who are hungry for information about what is happening inside the country, as well as to the audience inside the country who want to know, because of lack of information, lack of credible information, independent information inside the country, that millions of Burmese who were thirsty for information, hungry for the analysis and information, they were receiving our news through the websites or television and radio. That's why we play a role.
And how about you? Because you represent the so-called non-Burmans information. So how is your role?
Well, the Shans used to have a very bad reputation in the world because of drugs, because of drug laws and things, which have turned to overshadow the sufferings, the grievances of the people. After the Chan Herald was established in Thailand, we started to produce reports about what's really happening in Shan State other than drugs. We produce reports about the forced relocations from 1996 to 1998, and also about the dam projects and how it affected the people, and about the resistance, armed resistance inside Shan State, how they came into being. I think this have helped a lot to promote a positive image of the Shans.
Unlike any others, DVB is based in Oslo, and you have a unique role to play. What exactly you try to convey, DVB?
We also, focus on what the government is doing without letting the people know what they are doing. So, as you know, we have covered like nuclear ambitions. It's very, very important, not only to our people, but also all the regional, countries. So our role is very, important for the whole region.
There was a movie called Burmese DJ. Is that about DVB
yeah, we
Operation Underground?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. So we have 17 journalists of, our VJs has been, put behind bars because they reveal what the government is doing secretly.
I see. Do you have the same problems in the case of Chan?
Yes, we do have. Although we could not reveal their identity due to the very obvious fact that if their identity is known, then they would be punished more severely.
Irrawaddy has become a very credible source of information about development inside Burma. For the past almost 2 decades now that you have been an editor, what do you think the information and analysis in the Irrawaddy, any impact on the policymaker in ASEAN?
I think it has an impact in terms of policy making, I believe, ASEANs as a whole, because of in the past, because of our standing and our image and our credibility, I think ASEAN officials tend to forget or tend to ignore our information and news and analysis. But as we build up our speech and our image and our credibility, I think more and more ASEAN officials, including Thai officials, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think they started paying a lot of attention to what we have published, what we have write, what we have produced. I think there has been acknowledgement, I think, from the ASEAN official that they can receive and absorb our analysis and information so that to understand and comprehend the Burma issue. But I don't know how they implement it afterward. That is a question but still I think we have played a role to provide so that they can make a better assessment of what is going on in such a closed society.
There were a lot of criticism saying that exiled media actually are very biased, information are not reliable. What is your own assessments of your own? Do you think that is the fact, or you think you provide the credible information? Chayen.
Well, I remember that until now, people working, especially the people in the diplomatic circle working in Rangoon, if they want to know things about Burma, what's really happening, they have to fly from Rangoon to Chiang Mai and meet us, not only myself, but also DBB, Irrawaddy and all. I think that is not only true for the diplomatic people, but also for our own people. The people say that when we want to know what's happening in our own country, we have to rely on the exiled media.
In the past, the DVB was perceived as the voice of the oppositions, and how you overcome that to gain credibility and recognitions that you are the source of independence news.
When we cover our news, we use pictures, and so our undercover journalists inside Burma have to take the photos at the risk of their life, and so when we show our photos, it's very clear, and so we can overcome this kind of accusation.
In the case of DVB, your clips on the killings of the Japanese journalists has a great impact on the media community, right? Did you remember?
Yeah.
How did you get that? Yeah. How did you get that clip? I mean, if you
we have undercover journalist inside Burma, and I think if you've seen the Burma VJ, it's many of what's going in documentary, and so. I think many new generations journalists trying to get information at the risks of their life. In this case, we have to rely the young journalists to get this kind of picture.
You also, Irrawaddy has uncovered many good stories. How did you get your information? How?
Well, I think Kawi, it's not like before. I think more easier. I think even if you are using a word of calling a description of the exiled media, I think physically we are outside of Burma, but spiritually we are working inside. Our body is outside of Burma, but our heads are inside. That's how I want to describe it, how we operate at the moment. 10 years, 20 years ago, it is very difficult to recruit people from Burma, even to communicate with the people. And there is always a danger. But the gap is narrowing. More and more Burmese can able to travel, can able to use internet, can able to use and send information, transmit the messages to outside world.
Interactive, actually.
Becoming very interactive.
I think in this case, the new technology, the modern technology help us a lot.
Yes.
These all the gadgets, new technologies, Google, emails, internet, cell phone, that help us to narrow the gap. And we were able to hold trainings and to get the information, to get the training, to train those young reporters who inspire to be our journalists and bloggers. They are quietly coming out of Burma, or they are in Burma. We provide the training so that they know where are the news, where the angle is, and what story they have to unearth, and so that we got the news. We are not really sitting here and doing story. Actually, there's a joint collaboration between editors, journalists, and publishers here in exiled, and also those inside. So it's a joint
That
team
aspect
work.
is not normally known in the international
No,
community.
I think they should. I think some know, some should also acknowledge that it is a joint DVV, either DVV or Ayawadi or Shan. I think there are a lot of foot soldiers
I see.
working inside the country, providing the very important information, either photos, images, or raw materials. Of course, we have to verify, because your question of how to build up your credibility. Because we were always seen as a mouthpiece of opposition, mouthpiece of the dissidents, mouthpiece of Aung San Suu Kyi, or one time, now defend the Hong Kong-based magazine Far Eastern, described the ARE as an underground publication, which I was really,
You are above ground.
I was very
yeah,
upset.
actually.
I was very upset because in fact, I think it's a long way for us to come to demonstrate that we are reliable and credible. And New York Times or CNN or BBC, whenever they are looking for any crisis taking place in Burma, they come to ARD or DVV, searching for the information and interviews. So I think we have done a great deal of soul searching as well as training, and because our ultimate goal is to provide the truth.
Your point, when I checked your website, you also have news of other minorities. You try not to focus on only Chan. So can you explain a little bit the way you work out your news report?
At first, of course, we have to work through the Shan. And also there are a lot of Shan activist groups, Shan relief NGOs and things. But later on, since Shan state is not just made up of Shans, Shans are only about 50% of the population. There are other non-Shans like Pa'o, Palong, Lahu, Kachins, and all that. We have been setting up a good network with them through the news reports that we've been sending out. It's not just the Shans who have news, we also have them. That's what they say. At first, we had to wait for them at the border to pick up news. But later on, we were invited to enter.
Apart from Irrawaddy, DVB, among the minority, Chan's Herald News Agency is the most active. Is that correct? Or there are other Mon,
There are other
Baumil
groups.
or
Yes.
Kawao, the group?
Yes, there we have Mon, Karen, Karani, Arakan.
Are they equally active?
They are also quite active members of this group called Burma News International.
Yes.
Yeah, it's known as a network.
In the case of DVB, you have what I would describe as a difficult process as transformation from Oslo, starting as a radio, become TV, and then radio, focus TV. I mean, how this transformation increase or affects your news presentation or impact on overall.
Yeah, we started with
situation
the
in Burma?
radio 20 years ago, and now we are just focusing on television since 2007. That's when the monks took the streets. Now we are focusing another new media like Facebook. Our view is we have to bring our news to our audience. Audience do not need to wait to get our information. So it's very, the speed is very quick. So our focus now is on the new media. And I think new media is, very strong. It's like networks. It can change, the governments in Middle East. So our focusing is now changing.
After the election last November, donor countries have slashed a lot of financial aids to communities, Burmese community live outside Burma. And this also have impact on the media community. You, three of you represent your own media organization. How do you see this and how do you overcome these problems?
It has been a nightmare because of the nature of the exiled media. They cannot generate their own income. We have to have a subsidy. We have to depend on the donors organization. We are very grateful and thankful that they've been consistently supporting us. But your question of election, I'm not sure whether election or selection. And because of, it seems to me that the power has been transferred from the right hand to the left hand. Old regime clone the new regime and come into being now. Because of that, I think the Western governments and ASEANs have a wishful thinking that change is taking place in Burma.
And most of the countries in the world share similar views.
That's right. Even the UN, and they think that election is the only game in town, and we have to go and work with those power that be, and there's no other alternative. And then there has been a difficulty for NGOs and civil society groups and exiled media to sustain in terms of their cooperations along the border areas in Thailand. And because the funding has been shrink and more focused inside the country, because of that, we, DVB or ARD or other news agency, Shan, we face a serious shortage of funding, and which, for instance, we will be cutting 20%, which will result into lay off the staff and reduce our products.
And your magazine's already stopped publications?
Our magazine is already stopped. And
only online now?
Oh, it's only online. But also, the key point is that when you reduce the products, which means the audience will not be benefited. I don't think some of the donors may not understand the vital role and the value that we have been playing in this and providing information, because there are media inside the country can play only that part, small half. I think the outside the media, the exiled media, can play at the other half. That means that the inside and outside play at a full, one complementary role. That's how I see it. So because of the funding shortage, I think we've been facing with the cut and then cutting the products, and then I don't know how to overcome this difficulty at the moment, and difficult time for us.
Kun Sai, you have similar dilemma or worse?
It's almost the same. We used to have the print media called Independence, which is produced in 2 languages. But now we have to stop since January. I would say that the international approach to Burma funding is going from one extreme to the other. In the past, they used to focus on helping the people outside the country and almost very little inside. But now they are focusing more in inside than outside. Like Anzo just said, people outside and inside, what we have been, the data that we have been gathering, they complement each other.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, they should rely not only on what the inside media is saying, but they also have to keep on relying what the outside people are saying, because we have more freedom.
And also wide varieties of sources.
I want to just insert, if I may, chip in, that we don't complain, we don't protest any kind of engagement or more aid going into Burma. I think the need is greater inside the country. I believe it. But we need a holistic approach to Burma. You cannot alienate one group.
I see.
And you have to have a comprehensive strategy if you want to help Burma in a proper way.
Especially the media.
Yeah. I think this is how I want to see. You need to have a holistic approach, comprehensive dynamic to look at Burma to help out, including media, because media, in the long run, because the Burma problem won't be solved overnight.
Correct.
It will be next 5-10 years. We don't know how long it's going to take, and the media will continue to play inside outside a role. In that sense, donors shouldn't overlook the role that we have been playing.
But I'm afraid that
recently an evaluator visited our office. I asked him, what happened if all and every aid to media is gone into
Burma, inside Burma.
What will happen? Who will cover? So what the government is doing? Who will cover the scandals and corruptions and human trafficking and child soldiers and forced labor? Who will cover?
This actually, transnational news has been highlighted by exiled media quite in details. Now, there is a huge dilemma now because it is possible that in the past, funders provide very good financial assistance to media community living in Thailand, in India, in Norway, around the world, among the Burmese community, because they have high hope that one day they will return as a very skillful human resources that can take up whatever challenging tasks. But now, how do you see your role? Because chances of your returning, do you think are still the same, higher or lower? How do you see yourself? Could it be that you could be ostracized by what's going on, the fast developing political scene inside Burma?
I think sometimes it wouldn't matter for us to be inside or outside, because since the situation wouldn't allow us. Under these current circumstances, we were forced to operate outside. But if you look back the last 20 years, how much we have contributed, then you can at least give us a credit that we have done very well to provide information inside and outside. And your question of whether we have a chance or a slim chance to go back to Burma, I have a high hope we will be able to go back to Burma one day when things change. Even in terms of media landscape, if media landscape started changing, not now, I don't think it's changing now, but there are a lot of things that, as he said, we cannot cover inside the country.
Correct.
Nuclear ambitions, military, scandals, corruption, forced labor, human rights violation news, particularly ethnic areas. What happened to the girls and women who've been raped by the soldiers? And about the fighting taking place in Kachin State and Shan States and Karen State, no media inside the country cover these stories. So we will continue to play our role. But the point is, we were able to transfer our expertise, our skills, our talents, our thought to young, talented, promising journalists inside the country through the trainings, through our interactive, journalistic community. That's what we've been doing. It's not a new. But when the media landscape change in country, if we are allowed to go back, we will continue to push the envelope. We will continue to poke that area. I think there's a greater chance for all of us to be inside the country one day.
Khun Sai, how do you see that is some space for media freedoms in Burma of late? Create some kind of a lot of talk among media community in the region that Burmese media is much freer now.
It is freer on the entertainment side, health issues, education issues.
Non-political, what you're saying.
But on the political issues, the military issues, economic issues, there is none. That's why the people who are suffering and the international community at large who have a stake in Burma, who sympathize with Burma, would still need the free media. The free media you can find only outside Burma, not inside Burma.
In the case of DVB, how do you assess that your independent views and news have influence on the viewer, or that they have direct access to your analysis? Because inside Burma I would describe as a difficult environment. How do you do that to really understand this media landscape?
It depends on our, the exiled journalists. They're very skilled, and so they can write about the Burma situation very independently. It's because of exiled media is not under censorship. We are not freer after election by looking at the back page of the daily newspaper. We are still accused of being, killers in the air.
I think some of the government officials always refer to DVB because of some of your news and latest informations. And that's, I think, one of the way to ghost the values of your news, no?
I don't know. I think DVB probably will have millions of viewers inside the country, along the China-Burma border, along the Thai-Burmese border.
Why?
Inside. Because why? Because, yes, very good critical question. Because Burmese people last 20 years, 30 years been fed only one-sided propaganda. And they are looking for news, alternative. Where I think DVB and other radio channels like BBC Burmese Service or VOA Burmese Service or Radio Free Asia based in Washington DC Burmese Service, they fail in because they are very important. Not just, they are not exiled media. RFA, BBC,
yes,
VOA, they continue to play the last 40 years very important role.